Are you torn between renting and buying a home in the UK? With house prices soaring and the cost of living on the rise, the decision has never been trickier, but which option is going to be right for you right now? Hi, I'm Sam Fox, a mortgage expert, and on this channel, I break down the myths for first-time buyers all across the UK and make it easy for you to understand how you get from A to B. So if you like this sort of content and you want to find out more about how to buy your home, then please like and subscribe. So let's get into it. I'm going to start here with a few little facts that I think are really valuable to us. So let's have a look at house prices in the UK. Now, as of December 2024, the average UK house price reached a high of 268,000, marking a 4.6 annual increase, the most significant rise since January 23. Now, rental costs in 2024, the average monthly rent in the UK was 1,279. Now, that reflects an 8.5% increase on the previous year. So as you can see, both renting and house prices are increasing at the same time. Now, before I go into the pros and cons of buying a house or renting a house, I'm going to start with the rental side of it. Now, loads of people that you might speak to say, renting's just dead money, mate. You know, you're paying somebody else's mortgage off. But rental shouldn't be seen as a negative. So I can draw back from my experiences with Charlotte, who's now my wife, fell pregnant with our first son, Arthur, and we were living on a little annex at my parents' house. And we were like, oh, actually, we're going to need somewhere to live. I'm going to need somewhere to live pretty darn quick. We didn't really want to stay in a little tiny studio room or studio flat type situation. So we went out and rented a property, and it was great. We made loads of memories there. Yeah, we were paying a payment to somebody else who were making a bit of money and paying their mortgage, but it meant that we could put a warm house over our newborn baby Arthur, a roof over our heads, and create some memories as well. And we stayed there probably for a bit longer than what we should. We actually had a second kid while we were rented. Now, it meant that our timeline of buying a house was pushed back a little bit more, but it gave us that family security. We could find the area we wanted to live in, we weren't tied down, and we could create some amazing memories along the way. So looking at buying a house then, the pros are you are investing in a property that history shows us it's always going to go up in value. Yeah, it might go up and down a little bit, but history shows us house prices tend to go like this over the long term as well. My first house that we bought was about 67 grand. Now looking at the market, it's probably worth about 110, 120. And that was about 7, 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. So it means that house prices do increase. So if you buy early and you buy something that's manageable, and I'm not saying go and buy a £500,000 house, but if you buy something that's manageable in an area that you want to live in for 2 to 5 years, you're paying off the mortgage, reducing the debt that's owed against the house. But on the other side, the equity is going to increase. And then when you get to a stage where you're like, actually, I want the extra bedroom, I want the driveway, I want the bigger garden, you can carry a bigger portion of equity onto a new property. Now, if you leave that later on in life, then you're going to be you might have bigger mortgage payments because you're trying to pay it off quicker, or you might have to extend your mortgage term into your retirement, which can be quite a scary thought if you've got a mortgage to, you know, sort of age 70, 75, when we want to try and get that paid off as early as we can. So investing into the property and getting somewhere for yourself early on could be better for you if you've got the ability to save. As we said before, the average purchase price is 268,000 based on the latest data we can see. You might need a £26,000 deposit, a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but then you've got your survey fees, your legal fees. Obviously going this year, the stamp duty is changing as well, so you've got those fees to contend with, so it might be quite costly for you to do so. Now, the biggest piece of advice I would give you is always start with something manageable. Whether you're going to rent somewhere, it might be a 1-2 bedroom flat, which is manageable for you. It's not going to impact your lifestyle. And if you're going to buy a property, also buy something that is well achievable on your budgets. Yes, it's great. And Instagram there's a whole video that I've done about Instagram and the social pressure it brings us when it comes to buying a house. But if you're going to buy a house at £500,000, that might mean there's no holidays, there's no fancy sky packages. You're going to downgrade on the car. So start with something manageable, whether it's renting or buying a house, and build up as you go.
There's a very different mindset going back in generations, but also there was a different demographic in terms of house prices versus income. And then if you look at now, people in their, say, 20s, I think expectations have changed quite a bit. If I look at my first house, I think you mentioned yours was similar, a 2-bed terrace. Yeah. My wife's first house in Glasgow was a 1-bedroom ex-council flat. So we almost had the expectation that I've got to get on a ladder and I've got to work my way up. I was speaking to people recently who were in their early 20s looking at 4-bed detached. I'm like, that was a dream property when I was getting my first house. So I do think expectations have shifted so much, and it might tie in with social pressure, Instagram, those houses with pools on Instagram people see, it might tie into all that stuff. But I mean, you probably see that on a daily basis, do you?
Yeah, I haven't got a pool in my house yet. So that's on the wish list. All right, so what I'm going to do now is take a look through Rightmove, look at some average property values across the Northwest and see how much that's going to cost in mortgage payments and see if there's any comparables to show us the rental as well. So just looking through here, I'm looking through Greater Manchester, purchase price 200 grand to 300 grand, and we've got one here in Prestwich, M25. Let's have a look through the photos. Looks all right, presentable. You might want to get in there, fresh lick of paint. Kitchen looks nice and clean. You can move straight into there. Bit of decoration. It looks empty. So if a property looks empty at the moment, it might mean a quick sale. You know, a lot of people ask about how quick it is to buy a house. This one might be a real quick one. If we click into Rightmove and we take a look all the way down, it should give us some guide prices here in the mortgage calculator. So this one's £300,000. If we had a 10% deposit and an interest rate of 5.09% and a repayment over 30 years, you're looking at £1,465 per month. There obviously you can put 5% deposit, you can put 15% deposit, but you're on average probably going to look at 1,500 quid to purchase a price of 300 grand. All right, so if I go into Rightmove now and I look at some rentals, looking at sort of 3 beds, again, Greater Manchester area, I've put in some parameters of rental between 1,200 and 1,750. I've just come across this one now in Cheadle. It's a 3-bed semi, and as you can see on the pictures, it looks a little bit dated. Got one of those really old fireplaces. Looks like those curtains need to be ripped down and a bit of a good clean along the way. So kitchen looks a bit smaller, again, looks a bit more dated. But as you can see, the rental payments are actually £1,600. So in this example, for a similar property in the Greater Manchester area, you're looking at £1,600. It's not as nice, looks a bit dated, looks a bit tired. You're going to have to redecorate it anyway, and it's going to cost you a little bit more money. So looking at those 2 examples I gave you there, Greater Manchester area, looking at a very similar type of property and the cost involved, I would definitely recommend purchasing the property. It looks like you can get something a little bit nicer, a little bit newer, a bigger kitchen, and you'd be a bit more selective in the area that you are. Where if you look at that rental example I gave you there, you're still going to have to decorate, put new carpets in, and try and make it your own anyway, and it's going to cost you more on your budget. So you can probably find some different examples yourself where you live, whether you're going to purchase the property, whether you're going to rent the property, to help you make that decision. Look at the location. It can be massive for a lot of people in terms of schools, train links. So if you're going to get from Liverpool to Manchester or down to London, that can also have an impact of where you want to live as well. But what I would always say is start with your budgets of what you want to spend a month, which makes it comfortable for you, that you can still maintain a great lifestyle that you've been used to before you rented or before you bought a home, and that'll help you make the decision of what you do next. Also take into the factors of if it's with a new partner, you want to get used to each other, or if it's driven by, you starting a family, and don't forget you do need a deposit to save towards the property. Now, if you do need help deciphering which is going to be best for you or want to look at some budgeting tools, all you need to do is drop a comment below. I'll jump onto them as quickly as possible and help you understand what's going to be best for you and your situation. Now, like I said earlier as well, please like and subscribe to our channel. It does mean the world to me, and it means that I've got the motivation to keep producing videos and make sure you understand exactly everything there is to know on the home buying process. I'll see you soon.